Hello, everyone. This is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of actually it's 2 days, 134 and 135, and for the 7th and the 8th of July. So I know you must be wondering, today Wyatt sounds weird, or DPA sounds weird. Yes, because I actually sounds weird today. Because I'm actually overseas. I'm actually in Batam, Indonesia, an island away from Singapore. So I'm not actually at my usual workstation. So now I'm using a laptop with a handphone earpiece with a mic, and the mic is definitely not as good as a proper mic that I have at my at my computer. So you just have to make do. I will be back in Singapore on Monday, so you probably will hear me normal late on Monday or early on Tuesday. So just make do. And anyway, so as such, my updates are a bit slow, I guess, and I was unable to do the summary yesterday, despite I actually finished the coverage of yesterday's things on the map. So anyway, let's start off with the usual. Let's start off with cross-border shelling. So cross-border shellings between the two sides continue. The Russian forces shelled Mikhail China Sloboda. So and then they also shelled this location at Esman, which they have been shelling for I think the past few days already. And they shelled Vovkivka, some place where they have also previously shelled before. And Kindrativka, I think something newer that they have never attacked before. And also at the location of Myropilya, another of the Ukrainian positions on the border between Ukraine and Russia of Sumy Oblast. So the Ukrainians also did not sit back and just wait. They actually launched their own attack on the on Russian territory. And but instead of artillery or mortar, I believe they will probably attract counter artillery. They now started to use drones. So what happens is that they attack this location at Novye Yokovichi or Yokoviki. So anyway, the drone, according to Ryba, the pro-Russian source, they say the drone dropped an explosive device at one of the gas station. So tentatively, there is no casualties reported. Uh, and this drone attack is now replicated over across the front line. There is also another drone attack reported at Krupets. So according to Russian sources, a Ukrainian UAV dropped the explosive at the border guards deployment point in the village of Krupets. Uh, so in Kursk. So similarly, no fatalities, which is this little town here off the border, and there is also attacks reported at Yelizavetovka or Ilavetovka, Elizavetovka. So same thing. The report is also explosive device being dropped on buildings from quadcopters. So when I'm talking about drones here, we are talking about like those DJI drones, those quadcopters that we use to take silly selfies, not silly selfies, but we take some beautiful scenery shots, civilian drones. So they modified it to be able to carry stuff, and also at Godivka. So the drone actually probably flew around this place. So this is a new modus operandi from the Ukrainians. So instead of using mortar or artillery, they are now using drones, which is much harder to shoot down because they are so small, and much harder to detect because they are usually relatively quiet, and but the kind of payload that they can carry is pathetic. So it's like maybe a grenade or maybe a modified mortar. So it's not going to cause much damage. It's more like an irritant. They're just trying to irritate the bear. So um, moving on to Odessa front. So at the Odessa front, interesting development. So the Ukrainians actually landed troops on the Snake Island, and they actually uh, planted the flag on the island, and then they decided to take some propaganda photos. And of course, the photos, as usual, is actually extremely professional, very well taken. Nothing like what the Russians could do. And then, according to the Ukrainians, they left the location. Uh, After they left the location, the Russians launched missile strikes on Zemeny, hitting the pier, but then no Ukrainian soldiers are harmed. And according to the Ukrainian report, this is based on their Ministry of Information, because their Telegram channel for the Ministry of Defense is already dead. They mentioned that the soldiers also examined the 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 coastline of the island for anti-submarine or anti-landing mines. Anti-submarine is kind of stupid. No submarine is going to swim so close to an island. But anyway, then they actually clear a passage for mine, barrier, and trap for whatever reason, and they actually inspected the area, collected data about the stuff that the Russians left behind or they have destroyed. And then, but the Russian story is a bit different. So according to the Russians, the Ukrainians landed on the island from the motorboat. They took photos, and immediately the Russian Air Force. So you see, this is the key difference between the two reports. The Ukrainians claim missile strike, but the Russians actually claim they sent the Air Force on the airstrike, and they actually hit the island with high precision missiles, which also, of course, the Ukrainians can actually ban it. They say that yeah, that's exactly it's a missile strike. So yeah, it's a missile strike. So, and then but the Russians say that there are Ukrainian servicemen killed. Then the Ukrainians actually fled in the direction of Primorskoye in the Odessa region. So they actually went to Primorske. So they actually sailed for Primorske back to this where there are 4 operating bases. So the Ukrainians claim that they actually left, and then the missiles came later. So which version of the story you prefer, you can actually pick and choose. It's like the buffet, you can have as much as you want. And the but I would say that if there are soldiers killed, I would love to see evidence of soldiers killed. But Russians being Russians, they are horrible at their information warfare, so they don't have all these photos to show us. So no idea what is the truth. So moving on to the Southern Front. So on the Mykolaiv Front, very interesting development. So remember, I have doubts about all these captures. I mentioned to you probably, and so all this information is from this guy called NL War Tracker. So all this information about the capture of Oleksandrivka, Stanislav, and Sharobalka, actually not sure about Oleksandrivka, but Stanislav particularly, and Sharoka Balka is all by this guy, NL War Tracker. This information is not available anywhere else. I have a lot of sources. I go through most of Twitter because I use I search location names, and I follow a lot of Telegram channels. Mostly are pro-Russians. No one talks about any fighting at Stanislav over the past week. Only NL War Tracker mentioned the capture of Stanislav and Sharobalka, and somehow we have some later repeat of this information by some other channels that probably get this information from NL War Tracker. Then I saw this tweet talking about how the Ukrainian troops at Stanislav and Sharobalka have retreated from the captured positions because after they capturing the position, they underwent a tremendous Russian artillery, and they retreated entirely from this region. I think including Oleksandrivka, if I'm not wrong. And that kind of that's where I started trolling and joking about how you can actually claim any kind of thing, and then you can just withdraw. Like for example, I said the Ukrainians have captured Moscow, but due to heavy Russian artillery on the Ukrainian troops, they have withdrawn from Moscow. So basically, you can just claim any kind of victory, and because you withdraw from it, you are technically corroborated by all the sources, because everybody have the same map showing that the Ukrainians have not captured Moscow. But because you have this exclusive information about, oh, the Ukrainian soldiers have invaded and conquered Moscow, but no, the raining of these mortar shells and artillery shells are so irritating, so we retreat. And so we left this place because it's so disgusting and smelly and stuff. So there we are. So everybody's maps is the same. I find this extremely disturbing, and that's why this map is now very horrible, because it's now very dirty. As I mentioned about the dirty intelligence, I think probably the last summary. So I just want to highlight this. And as such, I did something that I usually try not to do. I have to refer to another people's map. I try not to follow. I don't actually look at UA maps, UA live, UA live maps map, or even Ryba's map. Usually, I don't actually scrutinize them. The reason being because I do not want to have group think, because I do not want to because they put it, so I put it, for no reasons at all, and I try not to do that. And the reason I have been trying to refer to Ryba's map and also referring to UA Live Maps map is because lately all this misinformation has been getting a bit overboard. They are some people are probably um, abusing DPA's system of reporting the war, and as such, I have to refer to Ryba's map to have a sensing of what is the Russians' perspective of what is actually happening, and I actually added this. So this you can see this one, this entire border is what the Ryba's map actually claims that the Russians are actually holding. It's a lot larger than what I have been that I have been covering, and it's definitely also bigger than some of the Ukrainian pro-Ukrainian maps. So, according to Ryba, Oleksandrivka, Stanislav, and Sharobalka is comfortably under Russian control, and in fact, all the front line go all the way to Loparevi, which is basically what I have reported maybe around 1 week plus or 2 weeks ago, talking about the Russians is going to do a major offensive, or at least some kind of offensive on Loparevi, and that is also exactly the same time where we started to have all this new intel, particularly from NL War Tracker, about this massive Ukrainian counteroffensive. And this Ukrainian counteroffensive actually did happen, where they actually captured Nova Zoria as well as Kirove. And this is actually reflected on Ryba's map, which is why it's a bit confusing when we have this kind of misinformation appearing. And this sort of misinformation, of course, I'm still going to leave it here until it's for a while first, because I want to have more information to invalidate it. But according to Ryba, this does not happen. This attack all the way to Stanislav, Sharoka Balka, and moving towards Tomina Balka does not exist. And the thing is, why there is this story of this withdrawal of the Ukrainians from these positions is because if they continue to attack further towards Kherson, which is just here, they're going to expose themselves, which is why they have to withdraw away from these locations, so that they can continue to look legitimate. Because capturing Tomina Balka will be like serious news, because that will put them seriously close to Kherson, only 19-20 kilometers. So, but that's not the story. That's not the case. According to Ryba, they are all the way just south of Loparevi. So I have added this because I do not want to alter my map and just straight away endorse what Ryba say. But I want to see more evidence. For example, suddenly we have reports of Russian attacking Loparevi, then I can actually invalidate all these points immediately. So tentatively, I have to leave this based on due diligence. We cannot just say that, oh, okay, these locations are because DPA or Wyatt decided that, hey, these are all not correct because he feels that it's not correct, so it's eliminated. I don't want to do that because that is too much like a dictator, which I am, but I don't want to do that. So that also put into question about this fighting at Merne. which means that this fighting at Merne may not actually be a Russian attack. It's actually a Ukrainian attack, which then made me realize that the capture of Blahodane, or it's actually not the capture of Blahodane, because if you base on this front line, the Blahodane that is probably fighting is here. This is the Blahodane, which is then corroborates better with what Surya maps have said, that the Russian army withdrew towards Novopetrivka and the Bakhanivka line, which previously I had a lot of trouble trying to find where the hell is that place. It's actually here. So the Russians actually pushed back towards this line, and that means that this place is never captured. It's actually Ukrainian control all this while, and so this makes my map extremely messy, and I have to actually push this back then, because this capture does not happen. I'm so sorry. So if you are following me for all this time, you know that this is how I operate. If you find this messy, I'm so sorry. That's just how it works. So as such, there is very good reason to believe that what the Ribers map is very is likely to be correct. However, I have never heard of the Russians capturing all these locations, and that is actually the disturbing part. I'm not sure how he actually managed to go all this way, all this way. I never seen Riber reporting on that. The only report I heard of is this tree town, that the Russians captured after the failed offensive towards Snihurivka. So anyway, this is the very long-winded version of the story of what happening at the Mykolaiv Front, and but as per usual, as per all the parallel universes that we have met over the past months, all these things will start to slowly clear up, and the map will start to get simpler, because uh, there are a few accounts that I decided to invalidate their information, and I will never take their intel into considerations, because they are proven to be very unreliable. One of these is actually the NL War Tracker. I don't think I want to take his information anymore, because his information cannot be corroborated, and I don't believe the Ukrainians, given the way how they like to hold ground and refuse to surrender, would actually retreat away from such a strategically important positions at Alexandrivka and Stanislav and this Sharoka Balka. So anyway, this is the Mykolaiv Front. Yeah, you can probably hear that I'm getting a bit pissed. So anyway, at Davydiv Brid Front, there's no changes. According to the Ribas map, they are still fighting around here, this area here, which is also what I indicated around here. But I don't think there is anything significant happening over here. Similarly, there's no changes over at the Kryvyi Rih here, Kryvyi Rih Front. And is there any shutdowns over here to report? No. Is this it? Oh yeah, there's a the MiG-29 shot down over Mykolaiv. So this story is interesting. They say that the Russian Sukhoi 35 shot down one MiG, and then also a one shot down one MiG over Mykolaiv. And separately, they shot down another Sukhoi 35 over at the Donetsk side, which I will report later. And over at the Zaporizhzhia Line, I have nothing, no changes. I have nothing to update here. Over at the Donetsk Front, okay, this is where remember previously I talked about Kuznetsov, the guy that I added into the DPA team to help, because since that he seems to be like a source, I have entirely invalidated everything that he say, and so I will never take his information ever again. I actually kick him and ban him off DPA's Discord channel, because he had been PMing me a lot of intel, and every single piece of intel is a lie. Even he quote sources. He said, "Oh, Raiba reported this, or UA Live Map reported that," and I cannot find that piece of information, because I do follow Raiba closely, and I never seen that piece of information. The worst case of all is he once quoted a video from a allegedly Wagner PMC Telegram channel, And he claimed that in the video, the soldiers claim that he is actually at I think Palivka or something. I forgot where. And then he said that they have actually or is it somewhere else? And then they have actually captured some other positions around in the Donetsk Front. I actually went to ask him for the source. He gave me the video link. I went there. Yes, they are speaking in Russian. I can't understand. But it doesn't sound like they are saying the kind of thing that he's saying. So I decided to use Google Translate. Google Translate have this microphone function where you can actually speak to it and they will do live translation of what was said. And I did the live translation using Google Translate. So basically the video was the Wagner PMC telling the Ukrainian forces that, you see, we win, we have captured the entire Luhansk. And basically dissing the Ukrainian soldiers, tell them to surrender and know that the Russians will actually do what they can do, to capture whatever they wanted to capture. Something to kind of extent. There's nothing talking about I think Marinka or any of these captures. So it's an outright lie. And I call him out in the private chat. And then he suddenly backtracked and said, oh, now I'm not so sure. So, but he's supposed to be able to speak Russian. He said that he lived in Russia. And that is the biggest red flag. And I started to put question mark after that conversation on all his intel. Which is why in the previous summary you'll probably see, or the previous summary, you see that all his intel is all in question marks. And now I decided to, just delete off everything, because the last message that he sent me, I just had enough, because he quoted UA Live map, and that piece of intel doesn't exist on the UA Live map. So I had enough, so I deleted him off. So which is why now it's very clean now here. And I actually had a Patreon patron, a DPA patron who have some contact on the ground. He have corroborated that the Ukrainians do indeed still control Horivka, Novomykhailivka, as well as I think one more location. I think half of Marinka, something like this. So yeah, Bob Jada. So this is the location that pissed me off about the Konetsov. He claimed that UA Live map indicated Project as Russian captured. And I actually went through 4 or 5 days of UA Live map intel. I went back in history and I cannot find this piece of information. He outright lied to me. So this is why I have put it out across Telegram, Twitter, and Discord to call him out, and I would never take his intel. I would never talk to him again. So that's it about that. Further north, in the north of Donetsk, I did not have any more information about any changes. It's actually very quiet across most of the front line, other than of course the usual artillery bombardments. There's actually no serious ground offensive anywhere in most of the front line, because it seems like there is some kind of operational pause, especially in the east. I'm not sure about Kharkiv, because Kharkiv seems to be a bit more active, but the defenses are quite strong over there. Over at Bakhmut, the patron member also did tell me that he spoke to one of the mayor. Not sure how legit is that, but he can confirm that Luhansk is still under Ukrainian control, which actually corroborates what is reported on Viber. And of course, there is this invalidation of Vershina and Zaitsev, as well as Kodema. So all this information has been invalidated. Previously was reported that they were captured, and now they are confirmed to be still under Ukrainian control. And there is this the capture of Kleinov was previously disputed by the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. However, there is some further confirmation, because it's just just maybe a few hours ago, another Telegram channel actually quoting the militia of the Luhansk People's Republic that they have captured the Kleinov. So they are now actively trying to advance towards Bakhmut, which in Russian they actually call it Artemovsk. So there is another piece of later intel that actually corroborates about the capture of Kleinov, this town here. And so that puts into a lot of question about what the Ukrainian Defense Ministry talked about. But of course, this dispute is simply talking about artillery being shelling on this location. So of course, it's a it's a weak dispute, but it's still a dispute nevertheless. No updates regarding Porovsky. There's no updates regarding to around Soledar. No updates around all this region. There is reinforcement arriving at Ivona Darivka. So according to Ryber, there is the Ukrainian actually sent additional units uh, from this 10 Obeshov. I actually forgot what this means, and reinforced by several ATGMs. They are all transferred to Ivano Darivka. So actually, they are trying to hold up this position, and so let's see how this goes. Fighting continues at Verkhanokayamsky as well as Horivka. There is this claim. So Intel Slava reported based on the information announced by TASS, quoting the Assistant Minister of the Interior of Luhansk People's Republic, that they have captured, the Russian forces have captured Horivka. And however, why is it a question mark? Intel Slava is one of the sources that I actually trust. However, the previous information by Intel Slava is actually wrong, which is why I do not trust them. It's a question mark now. Usually, I do not do this. I'm not so sensitive, but because the amount of dirty intel that's out there, no choice. I have to be very strict now so that I can uh, clean up all this intelligence confusion so that we can later have go back to a more normal way of operating. But for now, even Intel Slava, I cannot trust fully because they have one error already. And given such a big channel, I have to wait for more corroboration, particularly by Ryba, because Ryba is really the number one, Russian source that you can follow. I think on the Ukrainian side, I think the most credible is UA Live Map, but UA Live Map tends to delay captures of the Russians. So, but probably they will be more on the ball when it's talking about the Ukrainian captures. So ultimately, they are still more credible than most of the Ukrainian sources. And I forgot to I actually indicated this for a few days, but I forgot to talk about this. Based on DPA's assessment, due to the lack of intelligence and information about the fighting in the south of Lysychansk, I have decided that there's likely no major fighting. Which means that there's actually no major troops trapped in the south, and due to also heavy humanitarian presence, there is a lot of humanitarian units and units going to Lysychansk to take care of the residences, not residences, the residents. I decided that we can actually safely assess that Lysychansk is fully captured. So this is now a flag for the Russian forces that they have captured Lysychansk. So well done, Russian forces. So moving on to Izyum Front. Izyum Front. Wait, I think I missed something. Okay, there's a MiG-29 shot down over Holubivka. So this is by Russian air defense, which is actually rather far away from the front line. So not sure what the Russians actually deployed to be able to shoot down a plane this far away. I believe there's another plane shot down. This is the one that I mentioned earlier. So the Russian Sukhoi 35 shot down a Sukhoi 35 over Adamovka or Adamivka in Ukrainian. So so the air battle continues. However, I have heard feedback, that I should also report on Russian air losses. So I can tell you, I haven't seen Russian air losses for a really long time. So it's not that there isn't. The Ukrainians do shoot down Russian helicopters and planes, but I haven't seen anything since I decided to maybe cover Russian air losses too. So there is no actions around this region or here, which is around Balaglia. There is this interesting information though. Um, According to the Ukraine Defense Ministry, they say that Prishep is getting artillery shelling. However, Prishep was previously listed as under Russian control. And should this location, Prishep, be actually under Ukrainian control, that will put them really near to Balaglia, like maybe 6-7 kilometers away. So I put a question mark here because ultimately this is based on artillery shelling information. It can be very inaccurate. So I put a question mark, but so that we can keep track of this situation at Prishep. So this is one of these surprising things that surprising locations that suddenly pop up in the Ukrainian reports. So moving on to the old happy front, Kharkiv. Kharkiv front. So there is no changes in terms of the front line. The battle locations are still the same. At Verkhny Saltiv or Upper Saltiv, at Pitomny, Pridyanka, uh, and at Udi. So I should put no. Okay, never mind. I'll put it in the next map. So the fighting here at the west of Sosnivka, as well as Svitlychny, I haven't seen any new information from Ryba because Ryba is the first one that reported this. I haven't seen anything else of this yet. And I want to also do this correction as well. Previously, I reported Udi was captured by the Russian forces. So I made a mistake. It's not. So apparently I saw wrongly. And this is actually credits to Unakant or Unakant Endoswan or whatever, how do you pronounce that? That I actually see wrongly that the actual marker of all the way at the top of Kharkiv Oblast is actually Kryvyi Kozachok. So I actually checked the map again, and I actually agree with the mistake that I've made. That this is actually Kryvyi Kozachok, that is under Russian control, and then Udi is actually still fighting. So I've made this change here. But however, I have to also highlight that Kryvyi Kozachok has never uh, appear in any of the intel I've ever seen. Not that I can remember since the start of the war. So I'm not sure how this was indicated. So I have never knew that the Russians captured this location. This is purely based on Ryber's mapping. So Udi is still fighting. So that's at least we know that for sure now. And however, I still while he Unakan actually helped me with this. Unakan's intel also I would advise you guys to take a pinch of salt. He dropped a lot of tweets on intelligence of things that are happening, but he always add an unconfirmed behind. And all these unconfirmed tends to always not confirm. So, and that is very dangerous because I can actually add anything. Ukrainian forces have captured Crimea, unconfirmed, and DPA has been flooded with orange juice, unconfirmed. So this is not a very good way of being a source, and usually I do not see where his source come from. So there's a big concern, and so he is actually another account that I decided not to take intel from. So Kuznetsov, NL War Tracker, can't. I'm not going to take their intelligence anymore because I cannot trust their information. So I've advised accordingly on Telegram, and I think in Discord channel. I didn't put that in Twitter because I thought that is a bit rude, so I didn't do that. So I only talked to you guys, the DPA Army. And talking about DPA Army, previously I have a Patreon account. In case you do not know, for DPA, you can actually find the link to the Patreon actually in the description below. And I used to call the patrons the DPA insiders, but I always thought that this name is rubbish. And I have been trying to find a new name. So I have found a new name because you guys made up this DPA Army thing. So I gonna play along, and so the DPA patrons are now DPA Army officers. They are now the officer of the DPA Army. I thought that's fun. So anyway, this is the summary, a very long-winded one, for the day of 134 and 135 for 7th and 8th of July. And sorry for the very long-winded stories that I continue ranting about because these are significant things, because I need you guys to know that not everything you read online is true. And based on DPA's methodology, because we are always working on rumors, and we will always invalidate the rumor later. But this looks to me like a concerted effort by multiple individuals or a group that purposely put out wrong information, so that the open source community will actually capture this information into their mapping and actually mislead the public. And I actually don't like this. And because they are doing this very consistently based on this specific account, which is why I have to invalidate these multiple accounts from my intelligence gathering. If not, then I will always be putting a capture and then removing it, putting a capture and removing it, because the information just keep getting invalidated. That will be very inefficient. So I have to do what I have to do. I have to protect the DPA army. I have to defend you guys, to make sure that you guys are not getting wrong information, because I gave it, like, this is the job I gave myself to actually aggregate all this information across the social media and to filter it. So this is the filtering process. And so I may offend these guys. Maybe they are legitimate, they are really trying their best, but I'm so sorry. And anyway, this is the summary, and I'll see you in the next update.